We're doing out here today, we're going to be serving 42 years with Keith McHenry, and I'm one of his volunteers, and I go by Sky. I've been doing this almost close to 3 years, 2019. I came downtown one day, I was hungry, I was moving, and I asked someone, where could I go to eat? And a young man said, come to Food Not Bombs. Since then, I've been volunteering 3 years off, and I'm very honored that I could help out here today and to be here for his 42nd anniversary. Hola, me llamo Sky. Bienvenidos a todos a la comida ahora aquí en el Parque de San Lorenzo. De 42 años que el señor McHenry tiene aquí creciendo con nosotros, y yo tengo 3 años casi en Santa Cruz, California, conociendo la comida por un señor que me dijo, bienvenida, ven a comer. Police, I've seen the police a lot in traffic, but mostly I've seen them here at San Lorenzo Park a lot, more than not Food Not Bombs. I have not seen them there recently. We have had not drama, the big scenarios lately, thank God for that, and hopefully that we keep serving these homeless people as much as I can, and I love doing it because I like to be out in the outreach. And most of all, I love everybody here. I see everybody like my family. That's why I wake up like a shiny star to come and see everybody and feed them and greet them and make them feel like they're loved by me like a family member. Yo estoy aquí sirviendo a esta comida porque me gusta servir la comunidad y me gusta la gente y es mi pasión para hacerlo, y me gusta hacerlo porque me gusta por las generaciones de mi madre, que ella era trabajadora social en el campo en California. Ahora yo lo estoy haciendo de 3 años aquí en Santa Cruz, California. Gracias a Dios por esta agencia que tiene comida para la gente que necesita, la más necesitada. Tenemos a veces ropa, a veces tenemos comida, a veces tenemos gente que viene a cantar o los viene a ayudar igual.
Well, I'm Keith McHenry, and I'm one of the original 8 people that started the first Food Not Bombs in 1980. Technically on May 24th, today's May 22nd, 2022. And it started when a friend of mine, Brian Feigenbaum, was arrested at the Seabrook occupation attempt on May 24th. And we had to raise money to get it bailed out. And some wealthy person bailed him, and then we had to pay him back, so we started doing bake sales. And we had no success at doing bake sales outside of BU Law, Boston University Law, or Harvard Square, and so on. But then we moved a family that had a poster that they were throwing out that said, wouldn't it be a beautiful day if the schools had all the money they needed, and the Air Force had to hold a bake sale to buy a bomber. So then we bought military uniforms at the Army Navy surplus store, and we went out with our baked goods and our sign, and we tried to get people to think that we were buying a bomber, which made them think and stopped them, you know, as they're walking by it, like kind of joggled their mind. And then of course they found out we're just young. I was like just had turned 22. I've been in the beginning of May, and we found that that was a great way to stop pedestrians, and you know, from just ignoring us, and we could get into conversations about world hunger, peace, and social justice. At the same time, I was a produce worker in the mornings at Bread and Circus, which became Whole Foods, and I felt bad I was throwing out the food, so I started taking it to the housing projects about 3 or 4 blocks away on Portland Avenue. And one day the people that I was giving the food to said, you know, they're designing nuclear weapons across the street in this brand new building. And that's where I got the idea for the name Food Not Bombs, because those people needed food really desperately and complained about the, you know, the falling down public housing they lived in, while a brand new glass building was erected across the street. And then the final thing that really is like Food Not Bombs is today is we thought, well, Reagan just came to power. He's going to cut social services and divert it to Star Wars and the MX missile and so on. So we decided to do and the nuclear industry was very big in Boston, including Raytheon and so on. And so, and the people that were financing the nuclear power station at Seabrook that we were protesting were all the same board of directors, interlocking board of directors. So we decided we would do a soup line outside the stockholders meeting of the Bank of Boston. In those days, they were responsible for redlining what was called Dorchester and Roxbury, which into neighborhoods that they wouldn't invest in, and they just let them become like desperate ghettos. So we wanted to put all that together as a message, and so we were going to dress up like hobos and say that in the future, if Reagan and the Chicago School of Economics, Milton Friedman and neoliberal structural adjustment and all those things come about, there will be a future where people will have to stand in line to eat at a soup kitchen. And so we thought, well, we'll dress up like hobos and reenact that to give them, you know, to shake people's minds up about the possible future if we don't organize. Well, we didn't do a lot of outreach, well enough outreach to our friends to have a line of people dressed like hobos. So I went to the Pine Street Inn, which was a shelter that had been in the Great Depression and was still happening. This was March 26, 1981. And I gave a little speech at midnight to about 30 to maybe 50 guys sitting around on these porcelain or tile seats and so on. It was like sort of like a holding cell for a prison. And Gag gave a speech about the protests and why we're doing it. And the guys came, and sure enough, there was a soup line. And I remember this one businessman came out of South Station, which was across the street. And he's like going, oh my God, Reagan's only been in office 30 days and there's already soup lines. This is outrageous. And that was the message we wanted to get across. So the guys that came, and one woman I remember, said, look, there's no food for people living outside in Boston. You should do this every day. So that night, while we're washing the pots and pans and stuff, we decided we'd quit our jobs and do nothing but collect food, take it to all the housing projects and to Rosie's Place, the Battered Women's Shelter, and the Ozamon Alcohol Center, and so on. And then in the afternoons, we would do street performances with free food in Harvard Square or at the Boston Commons. And that's what I did for the first 8 years of Food Not Bombs. And then in 1988, I started a second group in San Francisco, and we were arrested. We applied for a permit because a person suggested we could just get this permit and it would be real easy. We sent a letter on July 11th of '88 to the Parks Department. We got no response until August 15th when 45 riot police came and arrested 9 of us for serving food without a permit. That evolved into, I believe, 94 arrests by the end of Labor Day weekend. And the mayor freaked out and he ended up meeting with us, and then they gave us these temporary permits and so on. And eventually the government was able to find an angle to withdraw the permits and tell us we had to stop, and so we just refused. And then there became ultimately a total of 1,000 arrests. Of the last 750 were for felony conspiracy to serve free food in violation of the court order. And it turns out in the last year I've been doing Freedom of Information Act requests, and I received some documents showing that the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force filed a report about the second arrest, which was on August 24th, and on August 29th they sent a memo saying that we were a credible national security threat, and that was an FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force memo to the San Francisco field office of the FBI. And that, I think, became like where the FBI and ultimately the CIA and so on got very involved in trying to suppress Food Not Bombs. But as is often the case, it backfired, and those arrests just encouraged more people to start Food Not Bombs chapters. And then when I faced 25 to life, more people started doing their own Food Not Bombs chapters in resistance to that. And it just kept growing, and now we're in at least 1,000 cities and 65 countries. And in many cases during the pandemic, as is here, we were the main food for poor and unhoused people in cities all around the world. So we've been out here like over 750 days, every single day, providing meals to people living in the streets. So that's our 42-year history in a nutshell. During the pandemic, because we were the only real place to get food, the community came together, and we had So for instance, all through the pandemic, many people were locked down, except for instance, Ron who fixed our van. He kept it going. We had like Companion Bakery kept delivering. We had Homeless Garden Project was making burritos and stuff for us at the beginning. We had so much support. It was it's just like incredible the amount of community support. And meanwhile, the city officially evicted us, according to the Santa Cruz Sentinel, 8 times. Although we did get displaced a couple of other times as well, so it's roughly at least 10, maybe 12 times. We had to move our entire operation, and we kept expanding because the need kept being obviously greater and greater. So we had gotten a grant from Second Harvest and got a refrigerated shipping container before the pandemic. And then we bought another shipping container, 20-foot shipping container to have at the site so that we could keep, because we were burning out loading the van 3 times have to load it 3 times to set up, load it 3 times to take down. So we just started putting a shipping container, and then we got to get another shipping container so we could store even more food. And now we're prepared for what is clearly happening, the collapse of the global economy. And fortunately, we don't have riots yet here in the United States over this, food riots and stuff. But if we don't handle the situation, that could well happen, because we can see, like in Sri Lanka and in Iran and in Lebanon and Sudan, so on. There's food riots all over the world now, particularly since the U.S. did sanctions on Russia. And Russia's blockading like the ports so that there can be no exports out of Ukraine, and the fact that the United States is spending billions of dollars in buying weapons for Ukraine, and while announcing that we have to be prepared for food shortages and prepared for much harder time. And now we can see that the cost of gas and everything is skyrocketing, the cost of food is skyrocketing, and I think we're really on the verge of in the stock market is starting to crash and probably will crash, and that's going to mean people's pensions are going to be like wiped out, and they're going to be on the streets. Hedge funds are already buying most of Santa Cruz, building luxury condos. The mayor is trying to put out like a letter this week saying they're building all this affordable housing, which usually by the time it's built is not affordable at all. So that, an affordable can be affordable for like 30, yeah. So that's like the way it goes, and so this is all going to get to be a real disaster. And I think we need to, in Greece they had millions of people out in the streets protesting the hunger that's in Greece right now. That's starting to take over much of Europe. So we will see those repercussions here. I'm hoping it does not become like a violent confrontation between the public and the people in power, but there's definitely going to be some very rough decades ahead of us, and that is if we do not end up in a nuclear war, which the U.S. seems to be promoting very heavily at this point, where the Brookings Institute and Foreign Affairs magazine and so on, the Atlantic Council, they're all talking, we've got to nuke Russia and China. That's why Biden's over in Asia right now, trying to put the fear of our nuclear weapons against China. And it's very, very disturbing that we could be in a situation where we're going to be in a third world war, and it's a third world war between 3 countries that are nuclear armed. So this is like that's why we're out all the time protesting and
food not bombs forever.
Okay, so the city came, Tony Elliott, the Parks Department guy, came out to have a meeting with me and Joy. Joy couldn't make it, unfortunately, but it turned out he did not tell me that he was coming with Bernie Escalante, the chief of police, and Sandy Brown, which is okay because I like both of them. They're cool people. And I'm kind of glad that Bernie became the official chief of police, because he's more reasonable than these people they get from outside that don't know really how the city works and how the poverty works. And I've gotten along with Bernie for even way before for years now. So I'm confident that that we can work things out. But they were trying to get us to stop serving at the town clock, maybe only do it 4 times a week. I explained that like people living outside don't really have calendars and they don't necessarily have watches, and if they have a cell phone they can't get electricity, so they're not going to know what day of the week it is. Plus, we had moved our operation just to the post office during the termite inspection, and I got calls all day about where did Food Not Bombs go. We were directly across the street and no one knew where Food Not Bombs was. So I was like, you know, it's just not, people are getting hungry. Now, Bernie thought we were moving into St. Francis Soup Kitchen. And I said, no, St. Francis does bag lunches. We're never going inside, because when you're facing a global economic collapse and a nuclear war, the one thing you don't want to do is to hide your opposition to those two extreme issues. And that's why we're at the town clock every day from noon to 3. And the issue about the town clock that is also very good is the businesses there are closed. So the bank it's just like is not a retail bank anymore. You know, the rush in doesn't really care that we're there. We're not bothering anybody, and it's just these kind of 3 or 4 busybodies who have been harassing us for decades, that live in the condos behind us, who have a history of doing such things as they brought their household trash out and dumped it at the post office, took pictures of it, made a change.org petition to get rid of us, which thankfully was hardly signed by anybody. And we made our own change.org petition, which was within a week had 3 times as many signatures as their one, and that had already been up for a month. So there's really the people that want to get rid of us are actually a minority. I know that, for example, the head attorney for Google, her husband has a weekly meeting with staff, including the chief of police, not with Bernie yet. I don't have evidence of him meeting with Bernie, but it's a possibility that he's going to get rid of the homeless. And one of the things that they discussed was towing Lisa Cool's RV, and they worked hard to like block her from being at Olive Street and to put up signs there so that couldn't be a place where you could live. And they tried to, you know, they spent like a huge amount of energy trying to tow her. And they also were advocating that I be towed. We have no ticket. I have no tickets. I'm totally registered with insurance. There's no, you know, valid driver's license. There's no legal way they could actually tow my car. But here you have one of the wealthiest people in the United States trying to have my car towed because I'm sharing food with the homeless, and trying to have Lisa Cool's RV towed because she's the head of the Santa Cruz Homeless Union. So it's like completely outrageous that stuff is happening. So the bench lands is getting more and more crazy as far as the number of people moving in. And I don't know if you can, it might be gone now, but one of the tents I handed out yesterday was up here in the lawn. So we keep giving out tents, and more people end up, you know, moving into the bench land. So, for instance, I have 2 friends at the over the SoCal end who both have their cars towed and all their belongings taken, and now we gave both of them tents, and now they live in the bench lands. I mean, it's like a policy of the city to ticket your car until you get towed. They junk your car, and then we give them a tent, and then they move into the bench lands. It's psychotic. So he wants to now talk.
I'm working with Food Not Bombs for the longest time. I'm a great driver. I've owned 2 boats and 2 trailers, and I can drive with the trailer fantastic.
Yep,
above everyone else. The police have taken my license right at the time of Corona, and then I can't get it back. And now I've got to come up with like $5 grand to get my license back. So a valid person that can drive and doesn't speed now can't drive because of police harassment and court and judge harassment. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not a thief. I'm not a hard drug dealer. I'm working with Food Not Bombs, feeding and clothing people. I need my license back. Wonderful world. Thank you.
There you go. And I could have like not a parade of volunteers say that, but a parade of other people that you know, just like keep getting screwed. But I think they target Dread-Eye because he helps us. You know, I mean, for instance, he was guarding our shipping container in the Homeless Garden Project, and they came and threatened to tow him the whole time.
They also attacked my truck, cost me $700 in repairs.
Yeah, and they and so then he finally moves away from the area, doesn't park there overnight. That same night, they cut into the lock off of they actually cut the shipping container apart and left it wide open. And then when they know that we were having a coming in to move the shipping container, and they planned to move Rose and all of her stuff right when we had a truck coming to pick up the shipping container, so that we had to then postpone the pickup and everything because they had tractors and stuff all in the way. I mean, so it's pretty clear that first they red tagged us to try to get rid of us, and they harassed the guard, and then they broke in. Then the city broke in, cut the thing open, left it wide open, and then they blockaded. I talked to Escalante about this, so he knows that I know that that's what went on, that was the pattern. So yeah, so today is the 42nd anniversary, and let's go to the stage and check out what's happening.
Keith is one of the best men I know. I follow him as my elder and my goal to be like him. He is a great man, and if I can be like that man, I will. And I'm doing my best to get my license back and get everything in order. I have no harassment for the police. I just wish to be a nice person. I'm not a thief. I'm not after anybody. I just want to help Food Not Bombs. And someday I'll be like Keith at Food Not Bombs, and I'll be doing the same thing. Have a great day. Open mics and coffee shops. If I did do this for you, what's the point of living? Some of them will die without no passion, and some will never die with no passion. We're not finding the love inside of yourself to do something to take care of your health, because you're beautiful. Never stop believing in yourself. Never stop believing in potentially what you be. Don't let society control you, disrespect you, fall in love for you. Do what you were born to be. And if I'm just honest with these words, I didn't write it down. We call it just a freestyle. We did it for the non-believers, and we respect our elders for giving us positive motivation. Never really stop living your life. Doing what you love every single day. I want you to see that. Never stop doing what you do. Do what you do every day for your love. Never stop doing what you love. Do it every day. Rise above all this nonsense. Never stop doing what you love. Do what you do and rise above all this nonsense. They don't want me just to speak, so they assassinated every one of my leaders to speak. And now with them walking around like zombies, they talk a lot of things. Do we hear their equality? It's the same thing every single year. So if you vote for politicians, get them out every year. Don't even listen to their garbage, because they're reptiles with no spiritual knowledge. And I'm just honest up a truth. I know my elders feel me, because we speak truth. And some of these kids are going to have to learn again how to love the love earth and learn how to live again. We're more balanced in compassion. Why? Because you're less with compassion, not asking just why. People will talk, but do they ever have action inside of their words? Do they action subtraction? But who am I to just to speak this? I do it for the artists, the ones that walk in just to be breathing air more fluently. Respect to Keith for giving me positive energy, community. Food Not Bombs, doing what they do 365 days of the year. And this is what you find of an artist, giving just love to every single one of y'all. Rise above. Thank you. Yeah. We done? We good? Okay, can I take you some more? Cool. All right, I want to make sure y'all know what y'all just heard right here. That was all freestyle. That means I didn't write none of it down. That's awesome. And I want to let y'all know I did that from my heart, because it's important to be honest with yourselves and speak about real issues. I represent this. This is my life. I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I will never stop doing it for the people, because at the end of the day, this is what we do it for, you know what I'm saying? It's not for money, it's not for anything else. It is to be a part of our community and doing something that lasts longer than just 5 seconds. Thank you! So I'm gonna get back into some more hip hop. I wanna thank you and I appreciate you. Shout out to Keith, shout out to Food Not Bombs, and all these amazing workers that are doing their work, 42 years. So I got some more, then I'm gonna finish up here. All right, so I got something new.
This is actually, I'm working on an album. My friend's not here, so I'm going to perform my verse, and I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to give you the hook. Check this out. I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Living with this passion while I'm still here. Writing with this passion while I'm still here. I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Living with this passion while I'm still here. Writing with this passion while I'm still here. I did me and wrote my own legacy. For all the pain on the real as it comes. Lyrical high underground cyphermatic. From the streets to the stage, I rip mics out of mental rage. With a fire that burns with every word I write, I never lose sight. When I've been fighting my whole life. When they tell me never real enough, I don't care what they say. I'm taking everything that's been in my way. Run marathons of self-improvement. Learn it till I get it right. With determination. Overcome this nation that will kill physical liberation without no hesitation. Our sisters miseducated, outdated, infiltrated, subdated. Not enough amigos living with our own people while we fighting for pity survive. We getting kicked out of our homes from these genetically codes that are reptiles. With a mission control population. Without a care in the world, long as money's being made, we're all being played like puppets like in a rat race. It's a disgrace when you can't afford to live here. To put food on the table, nothing gets stable while you fighting for crumbs. I heard it all before. Say it again. I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Living with this passion while I'm still here. Writing with this passion while I'm still here. I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Living with this passion while I'm still here. Writing with this passion while I'm still here. I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Still here. Even if your own home, you're not free. There's a tax and zip code that includes me. Federal jobs can't even get that. They ship jobs to third countries and feel that. People are fighting for equal rights just to find a place to sleep at night. The government ain't doing nothing for it. They give money to organizations. What's the point? People will walk around like puppets, but never really care about these people. They make money off of it and put it in the bank accounts like we had never just existed. There's too many politics and politics. There's too many politics and politics. Who do you trust when they fight for the wars and then you can't even afford to pay your mortgage note? I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Living with this passion when I'm still here. Writing with this passion when I'm still here. I heard it all before, but I'm still here. Living with this passion when I'm still here. Writing with this passion when I'm still here. I heard it all before, but we're still here. Still here. So that's brand new, people. I have not shared that out to the public. Alright. How y'all feeling? Are y'all feeling good? I want you to take a deep breath with me real quick, okay? Because I know you, take a deep breath with me. Let's breathe. Yeah, I always like to breathe. It's important to have breath when you perform.
Yeah, we out here today, 42nd Annual Food Not Bomb Soupstock. Can y'all say that with me? Soupstock? Soupstock! 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 That's why we're here at the Duck Pond stage. We were blessed up by Lyrical here. Why don't we give it a round time for Lyrical? Bring it right here, bring it together. Thank you so much.
Awesome freestyle.
Yeah. And I think if you want to hit it one more time too.
I'll do one more.
Yeah, and we got Keith. We got to give it up for Keith one time. As loud as we can, everybody round. Come on, give it up for Keith. Let's go. So, one time, and then...
Alright, this will be my last track of the day, and I'm going to do something very different. I'm working on a track called Don't Need to Worry. So, this is for y'all. This will be the last one I do. I'll make sure y'all hear that. That's important. I don't want y'all to worry, okay? I want y'all to know that things are going to work out. Alright? I want you to vibe with me for a minute. Yeah. Don't need to worry, it will all work out. Put the positive perspective in life without. The mind is a crazy thing. If we can change the mind, we don't have to worry no more. Think about the things you put in your body every day. Think about the things that how you live in your life. And if you want to change your life, you don't have to worry. Don't let the stress get to you. Just live. well make something true. Walk around and be the positive in your community. There's too much negativity. We don't need to worry just today. I want you to breathe more. Enjoy your life today. Don't need to, don't worry about nothing. Things will work out. Don't let the stress control your mental. Don't worry, things always work out. Just don't worry. Don't worry about your bills. Don't worry about the police officers just harassing. They probably got too much things on their minds. But for us, we're the human of the kind. We'll always prevail in this life if we do just positive and work in our community. Have more just community organizations that are out there doing what they do. Don't need to worry if you find your passion. Don't need to worry if you treat your woman right. Don't need to worry if you treat yourself right every single day because you made it to another day. Don't need to worry about these things they do. All they want to do is treat you like it's not true. Just go and live your life. Don't worry, everything will work out all right. Don't need to worry, put a smile on your face. Don't worry about the stresses you live. Don't worry, everything works out when you change your mindset. When you change your mindset. When you change your mindset. Don't worry. I want you to vibe with that for a minute. I don't want you to worry no more. I want to say thank you for enjoying my set. I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, change your mindset. Don't worry. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Appreciate y'all. So now we're going to bring up the other music. And yeah, it was an honor to do this. So, yes.
Mic check 1, 2. Here we go. Yeah, come on. Give it up one more time for Lyrical. Yeah. And here we are with Keith McHenry, founder of Food Not Bombs in Boston 42 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks everyone for coming out to Soupstock 2022. Everyone in the bench lounge, you're free to come. We're going to have free food shortly. So anybody wants to come to lunch, come up here. So we started in Boston right before Ronald Reagan was elected president. And our concern was that he would start cutting public housing and start funding Star Wars and MX missile systems, and then there'd be increased poverty. So we set up a soup line in front of the stockholders meeting of the Bank of Boston saying that the policies of the bankers and the policies of Reagan could lead to a future where there would be soup lines and people would have to stand in line to get food and would have to live in the streets in tents. In 1980, people thought that was crazy. That would never happen. And now look at 42 years later, we have millions of Americans living in their cars, in tents, in doorways, on people's couches. And we are unfortunately, at the very beginning of the economic collapse. So those of us that are already out on the streets, we have to welcome the millions of others that are going to be joining us and welcome them and make them comfortable living in the parks, because that's the future of America. And we can see right now with the price of gas, the price of food, the threats of war, nuclear war, that we are at a very pivotal time. And this is the time that Food Not Bombs, the message of Food Not Bombs needs to be made real. Because, for example, Housing and Urban Development said for $40 billion, we could house all Americans. And we just sent $40 billion to Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and other military contractors to build weapons to ship to fight Russia, another nuclear-armed power. And we also, this week, we have Biden in Asia talking about nuclear war with China. We don't need any of that. we actually have a beautiful earth and a beautiful land, and we can grow enough food to feed everybody. Everybody could have housing. There's no, when we started Food Not Bombs 42 years ago, there was virtually nobody living outside. And now look what has happened as a result of their intentional economic and political policies. And you would think that if the Democratic Party wanted to be re-elected at the midterm, they would do something like house the people living outside. But they don't do that. They got, in a half a second, they can come up with $40 billion to give their friends on Wall Street and in the weapons industry, but they can't, they're not even proposing a plan to help the millions and millions of Americans that are suffering right now. There's not even a plan, no conversation in Congress, no conversation in Sacramento, no conversation about that at City Hall, at the county building. It's as though what is obviously a growing population at the benchlands is something that is of no concern. Yet sadly they're proposing to essentially kick everybody out into the doorways. They're not offering solutions to people, and this is outrageous. So that's one of the reasons we stand for peace and social justice for all these 42 years, as we know everyone can be housed, everyone can be fed, everyone could have access to free health care, everyone could have all the basic needs met. We have more than enough money if we stop diverting it to things like wars against Russia, wars against China, wars against Afghanistan, wars against Iraq, the new invasion of Somalia, the proposed overthrow of the government of Ethiopia. The U.S. just spent a bunch of money and time overthrowing the Pakistani government. And at the same time, we have food riots all over the world now and huge food protests. You can see in Sri Lanka, because of the economic policies of these people, World Bank, IMF, World Economic Forum, and so on, like in Davos today, the billionaires are talking about how they're going to screw us further. In Davos, Switzerland, they're making their plans to put us all in a digital slavery. And they hope that that we are going to just acquiesce to that, and in exchange for some crumbs, give up all of our rights. And we're not going to do that. So, this is a time where we're getting to band together, work together, stop fighting each other on the streets, and start working in harmony, because this tent city here at the Benchlands is only a fraction of what will be in tents in Santa Cruz in the coming years, and we need to work together to make sure this is as harmonious and safe as possible for everyone. So welcome to Soupstock 2022, and text your friends to come and hang out. So the bands are starting to play, and we thank you for Lyrical opening this up as he does most years. And here we go. And
closing will be the Higher Collective, and we're gonna have an open jam with the bands here, bringing us all together. So yeah, let's give it up for every musician and every one of you. We all made this happen together. Thank you so much. Check, check.
Hello everybody. We're called New Moon Messenger on 3rd Street. We also have Lucas Lawson and Leland Mackis hopping on for the jams while we wait for our other members to get here.
Distance runner, what you holding that phone? Get it, get out, out of the door. Playing cold music on the ballroom floor. Leave all your head while you wanna get more. Higher, fire on the mountain, fire on the mountain, baby. Fire on the mountain.
you.
Blend of all three bands you'll be seeing today.
Hey guys, walk the line of fire!
City Blues. Oh, yeah. Tent City Blues. Oh, baby, Tent City Blues. Oh, Tent City Blues. Tent City Blues. I got 'em now. I got 'em. Tent City Blues.
All right. How we feeling out there? Yeah, 42nd annual Food Not Bombs. Just had a beautiful jam session between the three bands that are here. We had Lyrical on stage earlier if you missed it. So we're in transition to start the first band set here. It's the 3rd Street Sound. Yeah. And gonna share real quick. They did a benefit concert that raised about $1,500 for Food Not Bombs not long ago with Free the Youth, which is a nice organization collective putting on events like that. So thank you so much. You know, and it keeps the gifts that keep on giving, why we're able to do this today, you know, working with the city, all the people, you know, having safe space, having pride, being able to be together, you know, and showing up. So it takes the village, takes the community. Where's Keith at, by the way? He's supposed to be the MC. My name is Frank. You may have seen me around. I volunteer here and there. So I'll just leave it to the 3rd Street Sound to take it on. And more to come. And the food is here. Yeah! Woohoo! There's Keith.
Hey, thank you all for being here. We're happy to play for you here. And thank you to Food Not Bombs. This is an original called Elvis Presley Died on the Can.
Thank